the equation of a straight line. We need the equation. So the question says determine the gradient, the y-intercept, and the equation in each of the following. Okay? So remember, the general form of a straight line is y equal to mx plus c. So we need to find that. We also need to find that. Okay? Now, the good thing is the graph is given. So you can find C from the graph. C is very easy to find if the graph is given, because you just need your eyes. But M now is not easy to find. You have to calculate it. Okay, so let's start with the first one. Now, the first one, if you look at it carefully, right, we have our x-intercept here. Okay, it's not very clear for whatever reason, but if you have the question, you find that our y-intercept is at minus 6. So C is equal to minus 6. Remember, the y-intercept is the value of y when x is 0. And x is 0 where the graph crosses or intersects with the y-axis. That's where x is 0. And that's where the y-intercept is. So you find the y-intercept when the straight line intersects with the y-axis. So for this question, our y-intercept is minus 6. So later I'll put that minus 6 here. I now need to find m. Now to find m, you need to remember that m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Okay? Which means I need to identify 2 points on the graph such that I can identify my y1, x1, y2, x2. Okay? Now, it's your choice to determine which points, but I would suggest that you choose points that are a little bit far apart and that you can easily read their coordinates. So, for me, I'm going to choose this point. Okay? At that point, x is 3 and y is also 3. I hope you can see that. Okay? X is 3 at that point and y is also 3. Then, since I know this y-intercept, I can use it because it's still a point on the graph. Okay? So I know that at this point x is 0 and y is minus 6. Okay? So I have identified my 2 points. Now it's your choice which points you are going to choose. Okay? But you have to be very wise about the 2 points. Okay? So I have identified my 2 points. Now I need to calculate the gradient. Right? So my gradient formula is m equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. Now it's up to you to choose which point you want to have your x1, y1, x2, y2. So for me, I'm going to choose this point as my x2, y2. That one will be my x1, y1. Okay? Now, just as a hint, I'm sure you can see that the straight line is slanting to the right. I hope you can all see that. Since the straight line is slanting to the right, it means when I calculate m must be greater than 0, which means m must be positive. Okay? You can't get a negative gradient if the straight line has got such an orientation. So you need to know that as well. So where there is y2, I'll put 3. Right? Where there is y2, so this is my y2, I'll put that. Right? And then where there is y1, I'll put 6, minus 6. But the minus 6 it's negative, so I'll put it in brackets. Okay? So I put that first, then followed by that, right? That's my numerator. My denominator now, I'll put this 3, which is going to be 3, and then my x1 is going to be 0, so I'll put 0. Okay? My numerator, 3 minus 6 will give me 9 over 3, and my gradient m is going to be 3. Therefore, the equation is going to be y equal to 3x minus 6. And then I'm done. That's your answer. Alright? Okay? So I need to identify my y-intercept. My y-intercept is there. Okay? Based on the graph, at that point, y is equal to 3. So at this point here, x is 0 and y is 3. So my c is going to be equal to 3. Okay? Then I now need to identify 2 points on the graph that I can use to calculate the gradient. Okay? So I'm going to choose this point where x is 6. This point. X is 6 there, and my y is negative 3. Okay? Now this time, I don't want to use my y-intercept to calculate the gradient, because I just want to show you that you don't have to use the y-intercept. Right? So I'm going to choose another point, a third point that's going to be on the line. And that point is this point. So at that point, since we have got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, x is 5 here. And y, x is minus 2. Okay, x is minus 2. And remember the x value is that one. Yeah. Okay, and y is the value that's there, which is going to be positive 5. Okay, please, I'm just going to show you something. I'm going to use, for intersect, I'm going to use this point and that point to calculate the gradient. Then I'll also show you that if I use this point and that point, I'll also get the same gradient. Okay? So I'm going to do it here. Let me use that. So I'll say my m is equal to y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So I'm going to use this point and that point. So my y2, I'll choose it as this point y2 and x2. So it will be 5 minus that minus 3. I'll put the minus 3 in brackets. All over x2, this is x2, that's minus 2, okay, minus 6, which is that. I'm sure you can see that this one and that one, they correspond to those two. And this one and that one, they correspond to those two. That's very important. Okay? And then we simplify. If we simplify, you get 8, because 5 minus 3 is 8. Then minus 2 minus 6 give you minus 8. So your gradient is going to be minus 1. Okay? Now you can see that the straight line is slanting to the left. So the gradient is negative. So my answer here is correct. Now let's prove that the gradient is really minus 1. So I'm going to use this point now. Let me use a different color. I'm going to use this point and that point. If I use those two, okay, let me just carry on here. Okay, yeah, right? So let me call this point my x2, y2. So that's my x2, so it will be, that's my x2, and this will be my y2. So I'm going to have minus 3 minus that 3. all over my x2, that's 6, minus 0. Okay, minus 3 gives me minus 6 over 6, and that will give me minus 1. So my m is equal to minus 1. Okay, so you can see that any 2 points that you choose along the straight line must give you the same gradient. That's very important. So no one should tell you which point you should choose if you are given the graph. It is your choice. As long as you have at least two points along the line, then you can choose any of the 2 points. Okay, so this is how we find. So our equation for 5.2 will be y equal to, the gradient is minus 1, so it will be minus 1 times x, that's minus x. Our y-intercept is 3, so plus 3. And then that's the equation. Alright, so